Hello, I'm David Hunt and welcome to The Art Hunter. Remember when you were a little kid and we used to marvel at a magic act? Well, I did, but I was pretty dumb as a kid. But magic meaning, the power of influencing events by using mysterious or supernatural forces. Ooh, spooky. And that's the way it used to be, remember? We used to really believe that something was going on, or maybe it is. And then it goes on to say, suddenly, as if something appears out of midair, which it does, like things can appear out of midair. As a matter of fact, the guest actually just went to their pocket. I'm thinking, something got to appear out of midair. Another meaning, wonderful, exciting, it can be a great time. That's magic. Illusionist meaning, a person who performs tricks that deceive the eye. My guest today is a magic man. He is a multi-award winner who has performed around the world. Did COVID stop him? No. He went on to create an amazing TV variety show. Watch out, Graham Kennedy and Bert Newton. It's Ben Murphy. Hello.
Hello. Hello. I'm trying to work out how to sit casually and look kind of cool for the beginning of the show, and my legs are getting cramped. And the whole time you were reading that, I was like, oh, I don't know how to sit now, and I couldn't move. How are you?
Good. Nothing's appeared. You haven't done any magic?
Not as yet, no.
Oh, you will save up?
Maybe a bit later, yeah.
Right. Because we'll get to, let's start off with how we know each other. I met you probably 10 years ago. I was actually saying somebody earlier.
Yeah, back when I didn't have to airbrush my photos, when I actually looked young, and now everything's got to have, Botox and airbrush all over it.
And it was through the radio station that we're both involved in, Joy 94.9, and you had a friend there.
Yeah, Jay Skips was working there, and I had a show. I was touring. I just got back from one of my mini trips to Mongolia or something, and then I was doing a rare tour here in Australia, and he put me in touch with you and Sue to come on your show and have a bit of a chat about that, which was, how we got to meet, and then we've met at some various parties and various functions over the years. Yeah, and then we've re-met again through COVID, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. So Ben, where did it all start from? Were you that little kid that used to do the magic tricks and and all the cards would fall to the floor? Yeah, I'm still that little kid that just goes up to people and perform. Yeah, I got into magic when I was really, really young. I was raised as a single child, which was really good. It wasn't the best time for my sister, but I had a really good time. No, but the truth is, I was quite a sick little kid, and my first sort of 12 years I was in and out of hospital, and the first sort of 6 years I was kind of almost always in hospital. And they had those like clown doctors and things that would come around. Okay. And they used to do all these tricks, and it used to just blow my mind, and I'd always beg them to teach me how it was done. And then I'd learn, and whenever I was out of hospital, I'd perform for family, friends. Whenever my family would go for picnics, I'd perform for everyone I'd put a sign up and go, magic show in 10 minutes, and I'd go to all the other families that were picnicking and say, come and watch my show. Yeah. And my parents would hide in the bushes and go, that's not our son.
And so it just continued on from there, and so what happened when you left school? Did you think,
Just a lot of time alone in my room shuffling my deck. So, like practicing card tricks and things.
Right.
Let's not go
there. So, where did you take it? How did you take it? Or did you get a normal job and then come back to it later? Or
it was something I did a lot of. Like I started doing paid gigs from around 13 years of age.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
My mum and dad would drive me to events all over Queensland, and I'd perform magic shows, and it became quite a lot, especially in grade 11 and 12, trying to do my studies, and I wanted to be, a serious actor, and I thought the magic was a bit of a cheap gimmick. And then I moved to Melbourne not long after I finished high school, and was going to be on Secret Life of Us and something amazing and quality like Neighbours.
The jokes are going to keep on coming, people. They're going to keep on coming.
And then I was struggling to pay bills and that down here, and I didn't want to get a normal job. So my housemate at the time said, well, why don't you get your magic ship down and do some tricks? And I was kind of reluctant to do that for a while. And then I did, and found that, it could pay, quite a lot more than doing a retail job or something along those lines, with a lot less work, and it was still some sort of performing. And then so I just started investing the money that I'd earned from that back into buying bigger tricks, and it just got bigger and bigger until I ended up doing quite large illusion shows.
Yeah. Did you ever go to Las Vegas to check it all out? You know, like those huge illusion shows that happen there, or not?
I didn't go to Las Vegas and see my first illusion show over there until I had my own series of shows, which were produced by David Copperfield's company in Boston.
Wow.
So I did 330 shows in Boston about 11 years ago, and that was the first time I went to Las Vegas to see some shows, and that was really cool. But my I never had that desire that a lot of magicians do to go to Las Vegas, because it just felt like a magician in Las Vegas, it's been done.
Yep.
My dream was always to go somewhere like China or Macau and just sort of perform over there.
And so therefore you kept on learning your trade, and you did end up in China.
I did, yeah.
How was that? How did Chinese audience? They would have loved all the illusionist stuff, but what about your humour? Because you put a lot of humour into it, which they wouldn't have.
Some
really
of it would just go straight
Yeah.
over their head. Well, my first time in China, I was asked, would you like to go to China and can you speak Mandarin? I couldn't. I'd never been to China, but I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And got there and quickly realised I couldn't. And so my first couple of shows over there, my first tour of China, I had an interpreter on stage. And even though the Chinese audiences loved all the big illusions, because you just got the music playing and you're waving your hands and the girls are jumping in and out of boxes and things, that was great. But the part that's made me really successful around the world has been my audience participation part.
Yep.
And in China, that was really hard to do.
Of course, yeah.
Especially with an interpreter. So I'd say something, they'd interpret it, and it slowed the show. So, a 45-minute show ended up about an hour and 10 minutes, which really slowed it down. So when I got home back to Australia and I knew I had to go back in 2 months, I learnt my script in Mandarin so I could go there and perform it. And I've been going back to China now for 8 years and have obviously learned how to perform the show in Mandarin, and it's become, worked out what jokes don't work and what jokes do. Things are, a lot of the Chinese audiences are amazing, and they respond more to stuff here in Australia that we class as sort of a bit more party magic. They like the feathers out of the sleeve and that sort of bit more corny magic, but they really love anything colourful and camp.
Right. Okay. So maybe because they didn't grow up with it, or what wouldn't have been big there.
I think also because of the culture and the superstitions and stuff, they're more ready to believe.
Okay.
You perform for an audience in China and you do something basic, they're just like, you're amazing. And then when you're a Caucasian guy that's speaking Mandarin, you're even more impressive. And then here in Australia, you do something amazing like escape from a water tank more times than anyone else in history. And they go, oh yeah, what else you got? So the audience is they're more excitable over there, and it's part of their culture to celebrate the mystical, I think.
Right. How many people were you performing in front of?
So in China, we do about 4 or 5 shows a week in 2,000-seat theatres. So
Whoa.
Yeah, which is really good, and we sell a lot of merchandise over there, which is great because we get all of our merchandise made in China, and it costs about 52 cents each to make it, and then we sell it back for $12 US. So it's really good. We love it.
So it must have been a big blow though when COVID hit. Was that the reason you stopped going over there?
Yeah. So we just got back from China in January 2019, and we were home for a month, and we were heading back for an 18-month contract, and it was the biggest contract I've ever signed on financially, and with what we were going with, it was going to set me up for quite a number of years. And we were at the airport on March 17, 2019. Myself, my dancers, we had some cast members that had never been overseas. It was their first time part of a big show. We're at the airport at 5 a.m. in the morning, and we'd heard about this thing that was going on in the world, and we weren't thinking much of it. We're like, we'll be fine. And then all these floods of emails just came through that morning going, don't get on the flight. This thing's flaring up. We're not quite sure what's going to happen. They're starting to close things over here. You'll go back in a week or two. Just go home for now. So, we went home.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, our flights had all been rebooked. Dates had been moved around. And, a couple of days out from catching the next set of flights, no, you're going another 2 weeks. And of course, it just went on until, in the situation we're in now. But all my big props, all my, gorgeous costumes and things that I've spent my entire 30-something years developing are still stuck over in China.
Right.
So
wow.
yeah. So
you will go back?
I'm not sure. I'd love to go and sort of farewell, because I think I've moved on to a new phase of my career, which I'm really, really enjoying. And it's something, as much as I love magic and I've had a great time performing it, it was coming to the time where I'd been on tour overseas for the last 12, 13 years. I'm in a long-term relationship. It was quite hard with the relationship to always be back and forth. My partner and I are having a baby. And so this last 18-month contract was, in our mind, going to be our last contract. And because it was, quite a good contract, we sort of planned, okay, that's going to set us up.
Yeah.
And so that didn't happen, which was obviously quite devastating. And then, it was quite a dark period for a little bit there. I just sort of felt like everything that I'd ever known and worked for was just gone in an instant. And I had no idea, I've done so well with my work and been so successful with it, but I have no other, I thought I had no other skills, no other qualifications. So there's quite a period there where I was completely lost and I didn't know who I was or what I wanted to do with my life, or, I couldn't go and get a job. I've never had a job before. I didn't know where to begin.
Yeah, well, it would have been a really tough time for you. And the fact is, awful. It was a worldwide event.
Yeah.
And like the amount of people dying. And so tell us you virtually mentioned the reflection that you did. And because it would have been devastating for you, because all the money you'd probably saved from it and setting yourself up was then literally gone.
Yeah, I lost a lot. It wasn't just the identity of who I was and what was my purpose for getting up in the morning. I lost financial security. I lost so much, and it was such a it was a really big blow. So there was a couple of months there where I couldn't get out of bed during the day. I was just I was just crying so much, and I think a lot of creatives were too. Like everyone was just so distraught, because I think as a performer too, it's not, so many people, even my partner and that, who's loving and supportive, non-performers don't get it, and they're like, pivot, just do something else, get out there. But I think as a performer, it's something you have to do. You don't have a choice. Like, you could go and do another job and you could work something else, but it's not, you just can't. You have to be on a stage.
Right. So you never thought at any particular time, I'm going to walk away from the entertainment industry?
No, and I never will. I'm gonna pass away on stage.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's not something you retire from. This is life.
Okay. So here you are. Your career has come to this grinding halt.
We'll get through this and we'll pick it up shortly.
Yeah.
We'll get to the happy stuff.
Oh no, this is what people want to know. Behind the scenes about what an artist goes through in a downtime, and you're lucky that you thought of something else. So start the pattern of what happened next.
Well, for years and years, I've wanted to work in radio, and I've always wanted to have a TV show, and it's one of those catch-22s. You've got a really great job that you're doing well with, that's paying your bills, and you're getting to do incredible things, but you've got other things you want to do, and the two things, you can't do them both. I'm overseas all the time, so I can't do both. And there was never an opportunity for me to start exploring other things. And there was times when my partner would say, look, just have a break from the other work and go. But I was always scared if I had a break, I'd lose it and wouldn't be able to get that momentum back.
Yep.
And then after a few months of feeling, quite embarrassingly sorry for myself and being a bit pathetic, I thought, you know what, I'm going to use this opportunity to do stuff that I've wanted to do for years and years. I can't go overseas. There's nothing I can do about it. So let's get on with it.
Yep.
And so, I went and got involved in the radio show and started volunteering at Joy. And then I did a bucket load of radio courses. Like I did media law, I did news reading, I did all these online courses and Zoom courses.
Oh, you didn't do them through Joy? Yeah, because there's the Taste of Radio.
I did the Taste of Radio a few years prior.
Right.
And so I did all these extra courses as well. I just wanted to learn as much as I could. And I was really, really enjoying that. And then throughout my magic career, I'd met a few people that are quite, have a bit of a name to them, sort of in the industry. And I thought I'd get them involved in the radio show and, chat to sort of celebrity chats. And then I started doing some Zoom chats with my celebrity friends independently, and just for a bit of fun. And sort of really started enjoying that. And it's not something, I'd always thought of myself as someone who'd love to do a chat show or something along those lines. But I think in my younger years, I was probably maybe a bit too, I don't know, I'm a bit socially awkward and struggled to, or did struggle to not talk about myself. And so I don't know, I don't think I would have been the right person to interview other people. And then I started finding myself that I was actually interested in what other people had to say. And the Zoom stuff would be shared online and people were enjoying it. And then Channel 31 said, hey, would you like to do those and share them, with our audience? And I thought, yeah, but what I'd really like to do is something bigger. It's something I would always like to do. Can we use that opportunity for that? And so we did. And I'm so great that despite all of my insecurities and fears of it, I just did it. Yeah.
What have you done? Because our audience might not know.
No, most people don't know. It's fine. Just amuse myself. I have a show called Live from St Kilda with Ben Murphy, which is a weekly chat variety show where we
done on this stage.
Done on this stage in this. I'm normally sat on that side, so I'm feeling very nervous today.
No, you're not sat on this side because these are my chairs.
Yeah, well, not on these chairs, but I normally sit over this side of the stage, looking this way, and it's thrown me out a little bit. Yeah.
So. And it's a variety show?
It's a bit of a mix mash of bit of everything. There's an opening monologue, there's some filmed skits, there's a game show element. I chat to musicians and celebrity guests. We've had Hollywood actor Keenan Lonsdale, Greta Colleen, Tony Ayres, who's the producer of Fires and Clickbait, and many, all these really cool people, Peking Duck, and just, have all these cool musicians and, interesting guests on. And then we always close the show with a variety act. Because I've always been a big fan of the early 90s and that, and there were so many variety shows on TV, but now the only chance to see variety acts on TV, people like magicians or jugglers and that, is in competition shows. Yep. And as great as it is to see people on TV, the idea of, having an illusionist that's got, $400,000 worth of props up on stage competing against a 4-year-old singer that's doing the Munchkin song. I mean, you can't compare the two.
But it's all competition based.
Yeah.
That wonderful variety show, and Australia had so many great.
And we were known for all these great acts. And I just wanted something where people could get up with no competition and just have their moment to shine. Yep. And celebrate, especially with COVID, so many performer friends and that were like, there's no opportunity for us to perform. And when we do come out of COVID, are people going to want to go and see our audience? How can we reach people? Yep. And so the show sort of became a way for acts to come on, show everyone how amazing they are, hopefully, share their socials, get people following them, and then when things do open up, people are going to go out and see some acts that they haven't seen before. Because Melbourne's, it's the place to see incredible acts.
Yeah. And so how many shows have you done?
We've filmed 13 this series.
13,
yeah.
Right.
Unlucky 13.
Well, no, it's lucky.
It's lucky.
in my world, it's lucky. So, and it goes out on Channel 31, which this
Channel
show
31,
goes out on.
Channel 44 in Adelaide, and Face TV in New Zealand, and online at www.livefromstkilda.com.
So it's given you this other opportunity.
Yeah.
You kept on saying that, like next year it's going to be an hour show and it's going to be this and it's going to be that. How confident are you that it will happen next year?
With the live audience part or the show part?
All of it.
The show will happen if we got our show up in, we were in lockdown when the show got up. We put it together through Zoom meetings, and it'll happen one way or another. I figure if I can I've made a living out of doing card tricks and dick jokes. If I set my mind to something, I'll make it work. Yeah. And I think we have such an incredible team of volunteers that work on Live from St Kilda. And you're familiar with the team too, being in this venue. And I just think Australia needs something that's fun and is a showcase of many different talents, and it's not about one person or one thing. It's about celebrating, incredible live entertainment and live acts. And there's nothing like this. We get so much stuff in Australia, like Ellen and Graham Norton, and they're all brilliant shows. But Australia had some of the best. We had Graham Kennedy, we had Bert Newton, we had Tim Ferguson in the day of Don't Forget Your Toothbrush, and we Midday with Kerry Ann back in the 90s. We had some great variety stuff, and it's just disappeared.
But that's the problem, is that the commercial networks aren't ballsy enough to take a punt, are they?
No.
They keep on introducing these crappy shows out of somewhere else in the world.
Yep.
They all fail.
Reality TV that they just
it's all
churn out.
reality.
Yep.
And they fail. None of them work because it's not the original show, and they don't do it well enough. How confident are you, or how are you going to push the barrow to actually get on commercial?
Well, I think there's other things other than just commercial. You've got all the streaming services, Stan, Paramount, Netflix. There's a whole bunch of them, and I think the fact that a small show on Channel 31 with a host that most people haven't heard of before.
Yep.
In our first series, we were able to get some rather decent names, and I think it just goes to show that people want to watch something like that, and the performers themselves want a chance to get out there.
Well, as you said, there's no other outlet
nothing,
for them.
And if Australian audiences are watching, the English and American chat shows and excited about these celebrities, and now we've got so many celebrities that are in Byron Bays. We've got such an incredible thing here. So there's people that want to watch that, and I think Australian audiences would rather watch it happening on our own turf and celebrating the incredible film and entertainment industry we have here.
Yep. And bring it back. Bring back the Australian variety show. And the other thing is, it's what a lot of the, because I used to work for international record companies, and we would bring people out to do the circuit of the Hey Hey It's Saturdays, the countdowns, like Bert Newton breakfast, the morning show they used to do with John Foreman. All those shows were a must to do, bring the artist out.
Exactly right.
And we'd sell the records and the exposure for the artist. It's really important, and the government should be supporting it in some shape or form.
Yeah, hopefully. So next year we're going to try and get some more sponsorship and more people involved in that. But even in the short season that we had, it went from us having to sort of chase acts to try and come on our show to the last few episodes, we had to turn people away. We had a lot of, record labels and that sort of pitching to us. And, I think it's just people are just wanting an opportunity, and it's fantastic.
Well, all the best with it.
Oh, thank you.
Next year. Now, we're out of COVID, and we were talking... we're out of COVID.
Okay, well, we're out
of COVID. And all of a sudden, you're as busy as ever. You were in Canberra. You're off doing a commercial this afternoon.
Filming a commercial today, doing a commercial the other week. Back and forth all over the place.
So is it all of a sudden gung-ho, and where's it all coming from? Where is it corporate stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, mainly corporate events. My magic does a lot of corporate events, and prior to COVID it was doing, tours would always be overseas in China, but corporate events here in Australia, there's not a big market for ticketed events for magic shows here in Australia, so corporate events is the bread and butter, and that's just sort of come back. People are just, wanting to see magic and have a bit of fun and celebrate things again.
You were telling me something, you shouldn't have told me this, is that one of the tricks you were doing in Canberra, and the people had bowls in their hand. Was it bowls that they had? And you actually...
Careful how we interpret that. No.
Boom. And you had to guess the colour of...
Yeah, so people always ask, does anything ever go wrong? And it does quite a lot. It was my second last trick. I get 5 people up from the audience, and they each select a different coloured ball, but don't let anyone in the audience or myself see it. And then I go through and move the balls around to give them to the correct person. And then at the end, I go on the count of 3. If it is your correct ball that you've got in your hand, take a bow. And the big finale is I go 1, 2, 3, and all 5 go. And the audience just goes, "Oh my gosh, 5 out of 5! How did you do that?" And I'm cocky on stage. I got my sequin jacket. I'm feeling good, and I'm like, on the count of 3, take a bow. And not one person from the row of 5 moved. And I'm like, what? They're like, you didn't get the ball. I'm like, well, thank you. Leave the stage.
And what do you do? What do you do in a situation like that?
I think I'm lucky because my shows comedy magic.
Comedy,
I'm able to sort of get away with it and try things. But I mean, things do go wrong all the time. I'm going to try a little mind reading with you. So first, make your mind completely blank. Oh, that was quick.
Hey.
Now, I'm going to try and read your mind because I'm telepathic. Telepathic.
Oh, he doesn't stop, people. He doesn't stop.
All right, I think of a playing card. There's 52 cards in a packet of cards. You've got hearts, diamonds, spades, clubs. Ace to king, think of one card. Have you got it? All right, David, I'm going to read your mind. Thank you. But focus on the card. All right, John. Was that your card?
John?
John.
I don't know what John is.
Yeah, I asked you to think like of a playing card. Is this a senior moment? No.
What do you mean, a playing card?
You're playing cards. See, this is what I mean. Sometimes tricks go wrong. I've asked you to think of a card, and you've got it wrong.
Right.
Is your card John?
No.
Okay, when I asked you to think of a card, what did you think of?
Playing cards.
Which one? It was John.
No, I'm not. Should I tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Oh, the King of Hearts.
The King of Hearts. That is John. Let me explain. You see, night after night, I do trick after trick, a little bit like my sister, so who's also a magician. Don't be rude. So what I've done is I've gone through my packet of cards and I've actually given them all names. See, there's Chelsea, there's Vanessa, there's Bob, there's Sarah, there's Luke, there's Lisa, there's Caleb, there's Karen. There's 52 cards, 52 different names. There's no David because it's not a name I particularly enjoy. Now, I said John before you said anything. I said John again and you looked at me like I was a bit of an idiot, which is nice because you made me feel like I was visiting my parents. And you said the King of, what was it, sorry?
King of Hearts.
King of Hearts. So we're just going to go through and find the King of Hearts. See, there it is. If you could just take the King of Hearts, flip it over and tell me his name.
It's John.
And not only that, what colour back does that have?
What do you mean? Blue?
Blue. Oh, that's interesting because all the other cards in the packet are red backs.
How?
Oh, once that applause dies down. Oh, it did. Oh, thank you. That was quick.
Wow.
Thank you. You just said, wow. My parents just go, why?
That impressed me. Like, that's really good.
Thank you.
Wow.
Could almost do it as a career.
Yeah, you could. You could. So here you are. Like you're going to be doing the corporate stuff. You can't let that go because it's bread and butter.
Yeah.
And you have got this Our Show next year. Have you thought of taking your live variety show on the road to, like fringe festivals world over, Edinburgh? They would love it.
I don't know how I do that yet. I'm really enjoying, and it's not something that I've had a chance to do for so long. Where I've been this first series of Live from St Kilda has allowed me to learn so much and try new things as a performer, and I think that's why I'm also happy to do another series on community TV because it's given me a chance to try and test things out that I haven't done. And I think once I work out who I am as a host, when I get rid of the magic and I don't have my crutch.
You should always use that, shouldn't you? Shouldn't you actually have that a little bit?
I don't. We've had this conversation with the producers and team. They're going, you should do some magic in the show. But then I think if I do magic or I perform in a chat show that's meant to be about other people, I don't know whether it takes the focus away from them and makes the show about me, which I'm not sure. Okay,
but you do a lot of little comedy sketches anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
That include you. So it's a nice, like separation.
Perhaps I do. A lot of people do ask for more magic, but I think maybe part of it is trying to see if I can do something that's.
I think you should
separate
magic. Them.
Yeah,
separate the two. Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah,
you've really thought this through, Ben, haven't you?
I've had 2 years of twiddling my thumbs to really nut things out.
Yeah, but you've done a brilliant job. Like I'm watching it from afar. Well, not that far. Like just over there,
the back row there. Yeah.
And just seeing the quality of the people you've got, and and how much variety there is on the show. It's a real variety show.
I mean, it was going to be, as I said, a Zoom show filmed in my lounge room with whoever the guest was, and it's become quite big. And it became, we had, something like we had 13 shows, which was 26 contestants, 13 guests. We had 20 musicians. Became such a big show, and I think it's testament. The whole show was made with the team of volunteers that would come in, and it blows me away that there's people that are so skilled and so talented that are just happy to get out there and do something. And everyone's doing their thing, even though the hosting part of it's my dream. There's people behind the cameras and doing microphones and up in the editing booth that are doing their dreams, and it's just great that the Alex Theatre and the people here, there's an opportunity. Opportunities, I think, are the key to the industry. Like, I did so much free work when I was younger with my magic and that, and so many people think, like, try and get into stuff having not earned their stripes or whatever you want to call it. And I think things like this, working on shows, it's the only way you get into, you get out there and you learn.
Yep.
And it's just great.
Ben Murphy, you're amazing. I can't wait until you take it on the road. Take it around the world on the road, because you're going to be so famous. You're going to be our new Bert Newton or Graham Kennedy.
Or the first Ben Murphy.
Hey, that's a good answer. Thank you for doing the Art Hunter.
Thank you so much for having me, David. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for watching The Art Hunter. I'm David Hunt, and we'll be back again real soon. You haven't got rid of me yet. See ya.